Love often begins in the simplest places: a quiet park bench, a soft breeze, two hearts beating in harmony. Quang and Linda's story is one of those rare, tender journeys that turn ordinary moments into unforgettable milestones. From dreaming about their wedding under golden skies to sharing promises of a future together, and finally deciding to capture their love in timeless wedding photos, their bond only grows deeper with every heartbeat. If you believe in love that lasts forever, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and join us as we relive this beautiful story of devotion, dreams, and destiny. The afternoon sun stretched its golden light across the park, painting everything it touched with a gentle warmth. Quang and Linda sat quietly on an old stone bench, its surface cool beneath them, shaded by the arching branches of tall, leafy trees. Around them, the world was alive yet calm. The laughter of children drifted in the air as they chased each other across the grass. The rhythmic sound of bicycles passing by added a soft pulse to the scene. And somewhere in the distance, a vendor's cart chimed as he sold roasted corn and sweet snacks. It was one of those rare afternoons where time seemed to slow down, granting them a pocket of peace in which to simply be with each other. Quang leaned back slightly, his arm resting casually along the back of the bench, though his hand kept reaching for Linda's as if it was the most natural thing in the world. The warmth of her palm in his made him feel anchored, as though all the noise of life, work, obligations, the rush of endless days faded into something distant and unimportant. He turned his gaze toward her, and for a moment he forgot about the people walking by, the leaves fluttering overhead, and even the cooling breeze that carried the scent of freshly cut grass. All he could see was Linda, her hair gently lifted by the wind, her lips curved in that quiet smile he loved so much, and her eyes bright, alive, and filled with the tenderness that always seemed to undo him. Linda shifted slightly, resting her head against his shoulder, and the world seemed to fall into perfect alignment. She breathed in deeply, savoring the scent of the early evening, the mingling of flowers, soil, and a hint of summer's fading heat. To her, this park was not just a place filled with trees and benches. It was a sanctuary, a little oasis where she and Quang could dream together, unburdened by the chaos of reality. The sound of her laughter, soft and light, blended with the whispers of the wind, and Quang thought to himself that there could be no music sweeter than this. As they sat there, their conversation began in the most ordinary of ways, about the children playing, about the families walking their dogs, about the way the clouds stretched lazily across the sky as if even they did not want to hurry. Yet within the ordinariness was something extraordinary, an intimacy that came not from grand gestures, but from the comfort of simply being together. Every glance they exchanged carried with it an unspoken promise. Every touch of the hand whispered of a love too deep to be fully captured in words. Quang tightened his hold on her fingers, and Linda looked up at him, their eyes meeting in a silence that spoke volumes. It was in that simple moment, surrounded by the hum of everyday life, that they both felt the truth of their bond. That they were not just two people passing through life side by side, but two souls intertwined, walking the same path toward a shared tomorrow. The park, with all its sounds, colors, and movements, became nothing more than a backdrop to their private world. For Quang, it was a reminder of how love could turn even the simplest of afternoons into something unforgettable. For Linda, it was proof that happiness was not about the grand occasions, but about sitting on a bench in a quiet corner of the city with the one person who made her feel whole. Together in that golden light of the setting sun, They found not just peace, but the gentle beginning of a forever. Their laughter lingered in the air like a melody, and as the breeze softened, the conversation between Quang and Linda began to flow into deeper waters. From idle musings about the park, they drifted naturally to the subject that had been quietly blooming in both their hearts, their wedding. Quang, with a gentle squeeze of her hand, spoke first, his voice carrying both excitement and tenderness. "I want our wedding to be something that feels like us, not too extravagant, not weighed down by show or formality, but filled with warmth, sincerity, and the people we love most." Linda turned toward him, her eyes glimmering with delight at hearing her own thoughts reflected so perfectly in his words. She began to share her dreams, a ceremony surrounded by family and close friends, a space adorned with flowers that felt alive rather than artificial, perhaps a simple arch beneath which they would promise their forever. She imagined laughter filling the air, the gentle strumming of music in the background, and a celebration where love was not displayed through grand gestures, but through the quiet joy of togetherness. Her voice grew more animated as she spoke, her hands painting invisible pictures in the air as though she were already arranging bouquets and setting tables in her imagination. Quang listened intently, never interrupting, his heart swelling with pride and affection. For him, it wasn't just about the details of the wedding, but about how vividly Linda saw their shared future. Every word she spoke painted not only a picture of a wedding, but of the life they were building. He could see the glow of her happiness, and it was enough to make him silently vow that he would do everything in his power to bring her vision to life. Their conversation became a dance between dreams and practicalities. Linda spoke of the dress she hoped to wear, not something ostentatious, but something that made her feel like herself, radiant and free. Quang smiled and promised that whatever she chose, she would always be the most beautiful woman in the room, not because of the gown, but because of the heart she carried within. They discussed colors, flowers, and even the kind of food that would make their guests feel at home. Each small detail felt like a thread, and together they were weaving a tapestry of their future. But beyond the talk of dresses and venues, there was a deeper current running beneath their words. With every plan, every shared idea, they were affirming their commitment to one another. Quang spoke softly about the vows he wanted to make, not just promises for a single day, but for all the days to come. Linda, touched by his sincerity, admitted that what she longed for most was not a grand celebration, but the assurance of waking up beside him year after year in both joy and hardship. The world around them seemed to fade into a blur as they leaned closer, their voices dropping to a tender murmur. The rustle of the leaves and the distant laughter of children became nothing more than a backdrop to their unfolding dream. In that moment, the park transformed into a cathedral, their stone bench their altar, and the sky itself their witness. It wasn't just a conversation, it was a declaration, a promise spoken in the quiet language of two souls that had already chosen one another. As the sun dipped lower, painting streaks of pink and gold across the horizon, Linda rested her hand against Quang's chest, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. "This is all I want, a life with you," she whispered. Quang smiled, his eyes filled with emotion, and replied, "And I will spend the rest of my days making sure you have it." The simple words carried more weight than any elaborate vow, for they were born from truth and love, unadorned but everlasting. And so, beneath the fading light of the day, their talk of wedding plans became more than just preparations. It became a mirror reflecting the depth of their devotion. Every dream they shared was not only about one perfect day, but about the countless imperfect yet beautiful days that would follow. It was here, in this park, on an ordinary evening, that they quietly built the foundation for a lifetime together. The evening deepened, and as the sky turned a shade of lavender laced with amber streaks, Linda tilted her head slightly and looked at Quang with a spark in her eyes. Their talk of the wedding had left her heart fluttering, and she suddenly felt the urge to give their dreams a tangible form, something they could hold on to even before vows were spoken. Quang, she began softly, her voice carrying both excitement and a gentle shyness. What if we had our wedding photos taken soon? I don't want to wait until everything is arranged. I want us to capture who we are now, this love, this happiness, this moment. For a second, Quang simply looked at her, his heart caught between surprise and admiration. The idea struck him as profoundly beautiful. To him, it wasn't just about photographs. It was about freezing the essence of this chapter in their lives, about preserving the laughter, the tenderness, the unspoken promises woven into each glance. He reached for her cheek, brushing a strand of hair away from her face, and smiled. I think that's perfect. Pictures will fade one day, but the memory behind them will live forever. And I want us to remember how this evening feels for the rest of our lives. Linda's smile widened, and in her mind, images began to unfold like a dreamscape. She envisioned herself in a simple white dress, standing beside Quang beneath an autumn canopy, where golden leaves cascaded like confetti. She imagined strolling hand in hand by the lake's edge, the reflection of the sky shimmering on the water's surface, as if the heavens themselves blessed their union. She even pictured playful shots, her laughing as Quang spun her around, their joy so real that it spilled beyond the lens, immortalized in each frame. Quang, too, began to dream aloud. He spoke of capturing photos in the old quarter of the city, where cobblestone paths and timeless architecture could tell a story of love that was both modern and eternal. He imagined her leaning against a rustic wall covered in ivy, her beauty glowing effortlessly while he stood beside her, proud and humbled to be the man she chose. His words painted vivid pictures, and Linda listened, her heart swelling with love for the man who could turn even simple ideas into poetry. The decision to have their wedding photos taken soon felt like more than just a plan. It was an affirmation, a step forward that solidified the bond they had been weaving all afternoon. It was as if by agreeing to this, they were saying to one another, our love is already whole, already worthy of being celebrated. And with that realization came a surge of joy, one that made their laughter ring louder and their hands clasp tighter. As twilight settled over the park, they spoke eagerly about photographers, locations, and outfits, their voices filled with youthful excitement. Yet beneath the logistics lay something deeper, a recognition that life is fleeting and the present moment is precious. By capturing their love now, they were not just preparing for the future, but honoring the beauty of their present. Quang pulled Linda closer, his lips brushing against her forehead as he whispered, let's promise each other that these photos will be more than just images. They'll be reminders of where we started, of how we felt, of why we chose each other. Linda's eyes shimmered, tears of happiness threatening to spill as she nodded. And every time we look at them, no matter what life brings, we'll remember this promise, she replied, her voice trembling with sincerity. The park, bathed now in the first glow of evening lights, seemed to embrace their decision. Couples strolled by, children were called home, and the hum of the city slowly replaced the laughter of the day. Yet for Quang and Linda, everything else blurred into insignificance. In the stillness of that twilight, they had chosen not only to dream of their wedding, but to live it piece by piece, starting with the decision to capture their love in timeless frames. And as they rose from the bench, hand in hand, they walked away with hearts brimming, ready to turn their love into a story the world could see, yet one only they would ever truly understand.
Xin chào tất cả các khán giả của kênh Lý Tử Nhiên Đa Review. Vậy là tập phim của chúng ta ngày hôm nay đã kết thúc tại đây. Nếu mọi người thấy tập phim ngày hôm nay hay, hấp dẫn, cho mình xin nút like, nút chia sẻ và để lại bình luận ở dưới video. Đừng quên hãy bấm vào nút đăng ký kênh để nhận được thông báo mới nhất về các tập phim sẽ được phát sóng hàng ngày vào lúc 8 giờ sáng giờ Việt Nam trên kênh Lý Tử Nina Review. Liệu rằng mong ước một đám cưới hạnh phúc giữa Nina và Quang có thành hiện thực hay không? Ờ, tất cả sẽ được hé lộ vào tập tiếp theo. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại các bạn ở các tập sau. Bye bye!